Thank you for choosing to spend a little time with me today. We're on part 3 of the 50's box that I got out at the flea market. I'm calling it the 50's box, but it actually was marked 50's and 60's rock and roll top 40 box. Paid $5 for this thing. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, go back to part 1. I talk a little bit more about the origins of this box and where I got it from. But we're just going to pick right up here and move along. Neil Diamond doing Cherry Cherry. It's also credited as being written by Neil Diamond. I like Neil. Neil's done a lot of great stuff. But this isn't a song of his that I'm familiar with. Nor is the B-side, which was a song called I'll Come Running, which is also a Neil Diamond composition. So that's an interesting 45 to have there in the collection. And next up, we've got the Everly Brothers. As I explained in the last part, or to the part of the box here where I know the artists, but not the songs. So can't have a whole lot to talk about, the song specific anyways. But Love of the Common People by the Everly Brothers with a B-side of A Voice Within. Everly Brothers did a lot of really good songs. They had quite a good career. And here's the Bee Gees, and this is definitely pre-disco era Bee Gees, a song called Kitty Can, which is a nice title. I like that. That title kind of cracks me up. There again, not a song that I know, but Kitty Can do it. Kitty Can. The B-side being a song called I Gotta Get a Message to You. And both sides of these are credited to the Bee Gees, Barry, Robin, and Maurice on this side, and Barry, Robin, and Maurice on the Kitty Can. So, but a lot of people may not even know, at least the younger people, that the Bee Gees started out as folk music long before they ever switched to disco and made a name for themselves with Saturday Night Fever and all of those famous songs from that era. They also wrote a lot of songs that other people did. They became, after the disco stuff died out, they became really strong producers and worked with a lot of artists. So you would know a lot of their work and not even knowing it was them. But moving on here, we've got Barry Goldsboro doing a song called Honey. And on the B side of this one is a song called Danny. So that's interesting. And it's a nice different label, the United Artists. I have not seen this logo for United Artists much, so it's interesting to see a United Artists with a different label. Even if we got somebody numbering at number 33 there, so that's probably the A side. Again, I tried to guess the A side in this whole box, so the first ones down is what I believe to be the A sides. A lot of times people will number or sign or mark the A side for their own knowledge or their own memories, and that's why we would just have to assume that this side's the B side, but it does give you a much nicer, clearer shot of that right side of the label that was covered up on the A side. So now we got B.J. Thomas, which Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head is what I know him from. But here we've got No Love at All. And again, you'll notice those stars. Sometimes they would do that too. Now, this one's clearly marked as an A side, but there's a lot of times when they'll put a star or two stars at the beginning and the end of the title on the A side as another way of designating it as the A side. Scepter Records is one that I've noticed doing that, but I've seen other distributors do it as well. And you notice I say distributor, not studio, because you can have a studio record a song and get multiple distributors, sometimes even at the time of release, to distribute that song across the country in various areas of the country. So you can have a song and have a 45 that's an original print from it that is on a different distributor even. So you never know if you've got the first copy, the first run, the first print of a song that was released, unless you do some investigating or you were the one that went down and bought it. Even then you don't know for sure, because so many songs get re-released or, like I said, released in different editions, Maybe they run 500, those sell out. They run another 1,000, those sell out. There can be changes made in between there. They could change the label. They could go to a different distributor. So you get a lot of variances in 45 RPMs, which I find to be quite fun. That's what makes it kind of enjoyable. You get the same song, but you get in a different print of it. And in many cases, when you're talking decades apart, a song from the 50s or 60s being re-released in the 80s, or, well, by the time you get up into 91, 92, 45 RPMs were gone. But if there's a big gap in there, sometimes they would get remastered. You know, they'd go back to the original tapes and remaster them. So the 45s may not all sound identical. Or sometimes you got the 45 edits, and they get replaced by the album versions. That comes into play a lot of times. Sticks Come Sail Away is a good example of that one, where, you know, if you buy a later edition of it, it's got the album version on there instead of that shortened, edited 45 version. But anyways, getting back to what we're looking at here, we got B.J. Thomas with Have a Heart being on the clearly marked B-side. And you notice no stars, whereas on the front side it had the stars and marked as an A. So thank you, Scepter, Phil Scepter, behind the Scepter Records there. Thank you for making it clear what's an A and what's a B, because sometimes it's a head scratcher. Even with the internet, sometimes you can't figure it out. So it's good when they mark them and it's known. Here's one where you've got actually a diamond that's kind of pointing out the A side. I've seen that done a lot too. Stars, diamonds, whatever they might have used to mark the A side with. But the cufflink's doing Sally Ann, You're Such a Pretty Baby. And the B side to that one was When Julie Comes Around. And there are times even when you can tell an A from a B-side by the stacker wear. Somebody that really liked a particular song, the A-side will look better than the B-side, because the B-side is the one that's always falling, hitting the other disc, and spinning a little bit before everything grabs and starts to rotate without any, rubbing or additional rubbing being done. So you can tell a lot of the times. In this particular case, this side looks better than the other one. So When Julie Comes Around could quite possibly be the A side, because you see the stack awareness is what I was just talking about. You got one side that looks really nice and one side that looks worn. A lot of the times that's another indicator that that's the B side. But like I said, I was taking a guess. I was going by the catalog numbers. I got a diamond there. So I'd have to look that one up on the internet to see if we could figure out what was actually the original A side. Here's one where somebody numbered it, so this was quite probably the A side. And Every Mother's Son, Come On Down to My Boat. Not something I know and I'm familiar with, but it's a golden circle, so that tells you it was at least popular enough to get a reissue, because this is a reissue. You notice it's from the album Every Mother's Son. Makes me think of the Beatles with Mother Nature's Son, but Every Mother's Son was the name of the band. Come On Down to My Boat. And what I was assuming or guessing to be the B-side here, I Believe in You. And here's another case where you can see what I was talking about. It's got some real stacker wear there. And, well, with it being labeled number 2 by whoever GR was, we would have to assume that Come On Down to My Boat was the A side. So enough on that. I'm starting to ramble a little bit. Need to kind of focus and just show the disc a little more. Dusty Springfield. I'm sure you've heard of Dusty Springfield. Wishing and Hoping. Not a song title that comes to my head. And a B-side, or what I'm assuming to be a side, of a song called Stay a While. And those of you that don't like my singing can appreciate this episode and the next one or two, actually, because I won't be singing much because I don't know these songs that well. This was, as I said in the first episode, a box put together by a guy that I'd been buying stuff off of, and he noticed I'd been passing over a lot of top 10, top 40s songs that he thought I should have in my collection, so that's why he put this together. Here we've got the Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose doing Over at My Place. So the B side of this one is a song called Treat Her Like a Lady. Now, if that's the one that you know, that song is title does bring another song to mind, but it might not be this particular song. Titles can be reused. You can't copyright a title. That's why you get movies with the same title coming around. How they avoid getting, somebody from using Star Wars, I'm not sure, but notice a lot of titles cannot be copyrighted and do get reused over and over again. You'll see a film or have a song with the same title over and over and over again, and they're completely different, and that's why, because it's a matter of copyright issues. But Treat Her Like a Lady, I don't think that's the song that comes to mind, but you never know. Could be. A lot of songs that you think are originals are actually covers, and sometimes I like those covers better because those were the first versions I heard. Those were the songs that I knew and loved. Like Little Eva doing Locomotion, and then Grand Funk Railroad doing Locomotion, and then there was some teeny bopper chick in the 80s, I'm pretty sure, that did a version of Locomotion. So almost every decade, some of these popular songs get re-recorded and released by an artist that's popular at the time. And if that's what you were growing up and you were at that age and that was the first one you heard, that might be the one that you always love or prefer. Here we got a artist called Christy doing Down the Mississippi Line. I think we're getting into the part of the box here where I don't even know the artist, much less the titles. But there again, like I said, we did recognize a large percentage of these when we put them on and listened to them together, the wife and I. So you may well know them, and if you look them up online and try to listen to the song, you may very well know it. But for me, there's going to be a lot of these here, especially for the rest of, we're right at the end of this episode, but for the rest of this box, I'm not going to be having a whole lot to say about the specifics of the songs themselves that I'm showing you. But here we've got Christy doing Yellow River, and that's going to wrap up part 3 for us. I hope you come back and join me again for part 4. Have a wonderful day.